Hello and welcome back. I'm Dr. Lori Williams. I help individuals and corporations to create lasting mental and emotional wellness through holistic practices. Today I want to talk to you about how to build healthy boundaries within your family dynamic. So the family dynamic is definitely some tough relationships to be able to navigate. Obviously, it's people that we love, people that love us, and it can be very hard to have to be able to implement boundaries in a healthy way. So I want to give you some steps today to help you to navigate this experience if you find yourself going through it, or if you find that you need to have some boundaries with certain members of your family. Unfortunately, our family is not exempt from crossing boundaries. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you want to make sure that your boundaries are being honored, and that you are honoring your boundaries as well. So the first step that you want to do is you want to make sure that there is actually a need for the boundary. I'm going to give you an example. So if you find that you are constantly being triggered by someone in your family, that's not necessarily it's not their job or not their responsibility to walk on eggshells around you to avoid you being triggered. That is your job to be able to heal that trigger and what is causing it. But while you're going through that, you can definitely ask for the needed support and understanding that you may need as you're going through this. So that being said, you want to first and foremost, like I said, make sure that there is an issue that you personally cannot fix. We always want to look at ourselves first, not to be able to come from a place of blaming ourselves, but to have, to build that self-awareness of our responsibility and our part in the situation. The next thing would be to make sure that you're very clear on what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. This is how your boundaries are going to start being developed, is through recognizing what, is not okay. And even if it was okay with you yesterday or last week or last year, and it's not okay with you now, that's 100% fine. Don't judge yourself on this. Just move forward with developing the boundary that is needed. One thing that when you're developing your boundaries, you want to make sure that you are understanding if you have any part in it. So for an example, if you have an argumentative family member that it doesn't matter what you say or what you do, it seems like they're always starting an argument with you, having the realization that they cannot argue alone, that it takes two people to argue, and maybe, there's something that you are saying or doing, or even just standing there and taking whatever it is that they are dishing out to you, is your active involvement in that argument. So once you start to recognize, okay, I am standing there listening to them, I'm giving them the time and the attention that they're looking for, and realizing that that is your responsibility, you can start to take that away. If this person becomes argumentative with you, you say nothing, you just walk away. You don't have to stand there and take it. That is your boundary, is to not take, the backlash of what this person is dishing out. If you're feeding into it in some way, shape, or form, or trying to, make the other person understand your side of the story, where you're coming from, maybe, stopping that action as well would be helpful to you in developing this boundary as well. You want to make sure that you are always coming from a place of love, whether it's family or anyone else that you're setting boundaries with. You don't want your boundaries to be met with like any kind of harshness, because like that truly is not what a boundary is for. A boundary is essentially you telling yourself, I am no longer willing to tolerate this behavior. I'm no longer willing to show up in this relationship in this way, shape, and form. And then you doing something about that. Making sure, this is probably the hardest part of having boundaries, is to make sure that you have a game plan of how this is going to play out if someone does cross that boundary. what is the repercussions for that? What are you going to do? What are your next actions? So for me personally, and this is what I teach my clients as well, is, if someone crosses your boundary once, they most likely are very well intentioned. They just don't know what your boundary is. So it would be up to you to say, hey, you know what you just said or what you did completely crossed the boundary for me. I'm just letting you know that I did not appreciate that, what you said or what you did. And I would hope that that does not happen again. Now, in most cases, it's not going to happen again, and it's going to, just blow over and everything will be fine. Now, on the off chance that you may have someone that continuously crosses the same boundary and you know that they already know what they're doing, it's no longer an accident. They are now intentionally crossing that boundary and intentionally pushing you in a direction for you to make a change. You are never the victim in the situation. Even if someone is repeatedly crossing your boundaries, it's up to you to stand by your boundaries. And this is why it is important to have a game plan as far as how much are you going to actually take. So for what I teach my clients is that, after you have told them, that's, strike one. Strike two, if strike two is needed, is, a reminder of the boundary. And then also I like to follow up with, our relationship is going to be affected by this if you continue this kind of behavior. And then the third time, at that point, I am really, questioning, how much do I really need to have this person in my life? This person now has flat out disrespected me at least 3 times, and 2 times after knowing that they were being disrespectful. And why am I valuing this relationship more than they are? And really looking at myself. And I do not advocate for walking away from relationships, but there might be some times where you need to put distance. And if it comes to it, then walking away absolutely should be an option for you. You kind of last resort, there's nothing else you can do at that point. But you should never stay in any kind of a relationship that is not healthy for you, because if it's not healthy for you, it's not healthy for the other people that are in your life as well. I hope these steps have helped you to be able to navigate the touchy subject of boundaries when it comes to family. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you back here next time.